For more on this, we're joined now by Democratic Congressman from Massachusetts, Jake Auchincloss. Jake, congratulations. You won quite large in your race. Thanks for taking time today. And you heard Madeline there talking about the blame game. Fingers are being pointed in every direction from the Biden camp to the Harris camp. What is your reaction to the election results?
Good to be with you, Griff. Biggest city in my district, Fall River, voted for a Republican for the first time in its modern history. And as I talked to voters and elected officials there, it's an inflation hangover. For 2 years, Americans were demoralized by rising prices for rent and groceries. Now, this happened across the developed world, and every single party that was in government post-COVID, as we had these supply chain shocks, lost vote share in their most recent election. And Democrats, of course, are no different. But we clearly need to laser focus on cost of living and not let other issues distract us.
It's certainly, they say in politics, if you grab them by their pocketbooks, their hearts and minds will follow. And we saw that here. I want to show you just a little bit of the gains, though. What really stands out or stood out to me, Jake, was across nearly every demographic, you saw Trump gaining from young voters to Hispanic voters, black voters. What do you make of that? Was that more than just the inflation?
Well, everybody pays rent or a mortgage. Everybody pays grocery bills. Everybody pays utility bills. So I think that is really the defining feature of this election cycle. Now, I will note that inflation is behind us, and the United States has done much better than every other developed economy post-COVID. And in fact, Joe Biden is handing Donald Trump a roaring economy. Household balance sheets are in good shape. Average earnings are going up. Unemployment is low. Donald Trump now has to take this roaring economy and make good on his promises to the working class that he is going to lower cost of living. Because if his plans are going to be to deport immigrants to make housing cheaper, or to take away health insurance for people with pre-existing conditions, or to implement a national sales tax, that's not going to cut it for working families, and Democrats are going to fight him on those issues.
It's really, as we continue to dissect, particularly in the media, what went wrong for Harris. One thing that caught my eye was yesterday's op-ed, the editorial board for the Washington Post. And they focused in a little bit when you heard in Madeline's reporting former Speaker Pelosi talking about the timing of when Biden got out. But the Post writes this. They say it's a credibility issue, saying the credibility problems that Ms. Harris's repeated defense of Mr. Biden's sharpness illustrated were part of the reason Democrats met defeat. Do you agree with that? And do you think Democrats have some credibility issues to regain?
I think that a lot of voters perceive that Democrats can be condescending, and that Democrats cater to a series of constituencies that could be elite or esoteric or extreme, and that Democrats are working for these constituencies as opposed to for them. And we got to flip that script in 26 and in 28 without question. I think Kamala Harris, though, ran a kitchen table campaign. She was talking about cost of living. She was pointing out how Donald Trump was not going to work in the best interests of the average American family. And she had 100 days to do what takes most candidates 2 years. So I don't think this was a Kamala Harris problem. I think that we had an inflation hangover, and I think the Democratic Party needs to speak more effectively to working class Americans.
Do you think the rhetoric of talking about the imminent threat to democracy that Trump would be, calling him a fascist, really turned voters off? You've got now President Biden hosting President-elect Trump. You heard at the top of the show on Wednesday, like Biden spoke numerous times at the threat of democracy that Trump would be, and now he's having him to the White House for a meeting.
I'm glad that you point out that Joe Biden is hosting Donald Trump to discuss the orderly transfer of power, because when Joe Biden beat Donald Trump 4 years ago, Donald Trump incited an insurrection and caused the death of several Capitol Hill police officers. And I was in the Capitol that day. So the patriotism, the grace, the selflessness that Joe Biden is demonstrating was severely lacking on Donald Trump's behalf. And I hope, although I'm not optimistic, that Donald Trump introspects about that and that he resolves to put country first in his second term, because he certainly did not in his first term.
One thing that appears to be, it's not official yet, but it appears Jack Smith's case is going to go away, is falling apart. And we are now waiting to see who will control Congress. I think we've got the latest. It's like 212 to 200, and more votes, particularly those California votes, need to come in so we can decide this. But, you know, if Democrats retain a majority, are we headed for a continuation of trying to go after what will be second-term Trump for January 6th?
Democrats are going to protect the Constitution. Democrats are going to defend our values. And Democrats are going to work with Donald Trump insofar as he is working for the American people. If he wants to interdict fentanyl exports from China so that we're not losing 100,000 Americans every year to opioid overdoses, I'm there to work with him. If he wants to cut off Chinese imports of Iranian oil so that Iran cannot fund proxy terror forces throughout the Middle East, we're there to work with him. If he wants to pursue an abundance agenda of building 10 million units of housing and a clean energy dominant economy, we're there to work with him. But we are going to defend the rule of law against his depredations.
All right. Congressman Jacob Auchincloss, thank you for taking time and joining us as always.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.